to the stage, director of series 2, Amanda Viola. Oh, let's get into it. All right, you better believe it. The obligatory, where did this story come from? It's such an interesting story, and let's start with that.
So in May of 2016, my mom was in a very terrible horse riding accident at an indie ranch, and she shattered both of her hips, cracked her pelvis, broke 9 ribs, punctured her lung, broke her collarbone, and sustained a head injury. And as a result of that, she wasn't able to go back to work for over a year because head injuries heal really slowly. And the doctor said in the note that she should not return to work because she will probably be fired, is how they phrased it. And Liberty Mutual Insurance saw that as she should not work isn't she cannot work. So therefore, we're not giving her anything. They gave her short-term disability, but the long-term was nothing. So then she was unable to go to work for over a year because her company would not clear her to come back until the doctor said she could. And so then after a year, she would, it's just the financial strain of all that, and then you're also trying to recover from the most horrific injury you've ever suffered. And you've got an insurance company, when you turn on the TV, they go, Liberty Mutual, we're here for you. And it's like, no, you're not. And a year of me ranting and raving and Dom being like, calm down, come off the ledge. And so that's kind of where it started. And then, I guess that's the origin.
Yeah, and then you and Dom killed everyone, and then you won the All right, good. I'm glad we got that clear.
Oh, no, yeah, but that's the other part of it, is when you follow that to the end conclusion,
Sure.
It's like, we tell people we're non-psychopaths. That's one of our big things.
That's what you have
I
to
put
say.
it on all my job applications, not a psychopath. No, but when you think about, committing an act like that, then the next question is, what would that do to the person who did it? Because if you're a normal person and you decide to kill somebody, it would be horrific and horrible, and the effects of that on your psyche, obviously they're the victim, but also,
Nice of you to acknowledge.
Oh, these poor murderers. No, but it's like the emotional weight when you see people return from war, those kind of things. And so we also wanted to make a movie that explored that aspect of it, and that's why we opened the movie with the quote from Nietzsche about, when you go hunting monsters, be careful not to become one yourself, because the effect that would have on you, we ultimately, that's really where we landed on it. It's like, well, yeah, we're really pissed, but we never.
Yes. Yeah. So you both share, you co-wrote it, you co-directed it, all that sort of thing. How did you divide up directing duties? Was it something where, Dom, you were also DP on the film, so there was a good deal of obviously technical stuff you were engaging on. Yeah. Jerry, did you work with actors, or how did you divvy up the responsibility of that?
Yeah, I think, knowing that we were both going to direct while we were writing gave us a lot of flexibility to understand a lot of what was going to happen before we even kind of got to that part. So I think pretty early on, once we had figured out these are all the shots, we're going to write some of this into the script, some of it not. Once it got time to be on set, I feel like the most obvious division of tasks was I'll handle production if you can just really closely work with the actors. But a lot of times it would go in with a game plan of the day, let's talk about everything. That way, if there is some creative that is unexpected, we at least have a little bit to chat about beforehand. It's not just carte blanche for either of us. So it was definitely very collaborative, but I feel like a pretty fair division of labor for the role.
Yeah, great. Amanda, amazing job. Can I ask a little bit about preparation for the film? And was there, I imagine there probably wasn't rehearsal, but for you and the trio of you, was there a good deal of kind of hanging out, getting to know each other? Were you just literally thrown into it and, nope, just acting,
Well, first we murdered somebody.
Good, good. This Q&A is going well. We will all be invited by the end.
We were really, really lucky because, and this is truly a gift because it doesn't happen really ever, the three of us had really natural chemistry. We just instantly clicked with each other, instantly liked each other, and it was really effortless. And the work between the five of us would sort of kind of go off together at the beginning of the day and kind of work things out with each other. it all was really symbiotic. And as far as preparation, I mean, all actors kind of prepare differently. The three of us actors all used totally different methods than each other, which was really cool because I got to learn what they do and but for me it was understanding who she is as a person, like what does she need, what makes her human, you know, and figuring that out. And like things like that, I always focus on that first, and like things like lines come later, you know. But it was really just about finding like, well, what drives her, and you know, she's adopted, but she was adopted by this wonderful family who welcomed her, and so she is motivated similarly to Mason about her father being dead, but also she never really felt like she ever belonged, you know, a bit out of place, and so, but it's really, for me, it's a movie about family, and what we would do for our family, so.
Sure, yeah, I like that. Questions out here? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, several of us worked with Jerry.
Okay, you are going to be invited by the end of the
So I guess we should feel good, grateful that we got out alive.
This is all going terribly.
Definitely not world premiere time.
Well, they say that it takes a lifetime to write your first book, presumably your first movie. Do you feel like that in this case, and what will you do as an encore? Because when I was watching this, I thought of The Last House on the Left, but I had a hat so I could put it over my head this time, and Fargo. Were those some of your influences as well?
Great.
Yeah, I mean, something like Fargo, we love the Coen brothers. For us, it was closer to like No Country for Old Men, in that they did the modern Western approach, but also they had the moral complexity that we really enjoyed, where in No Country for Old Men, there seems to be a good guy and a bad guy, but like upon further examination, it's no good guy or bad guy, it's just different interests playing out. And so we really like that dynamic where, you know, if you can look at it from a different person's perspective, what does that look like? And trying to humanize everybody. And that's one of the reasons we did that kid scene the way we did, because we weren't trying to do like a violent body count. We wanted to humanize everybody that died, you know? So I don't know if that answers your question. My encore would be, I don't know. I was going to make a dumb joke about Eminem's encore, just playing that in my car. But no, we have a number.
We're still doing it.
We have a number of different things that we want to make. We have some movies that are kind of in the same revolutionary vein that will be, you know, a twist on major religions and stuff like that. So, and yeah, we have a few different things going, so we're not sure which one's going to be the one that we do, but simmerings.
Great.
Got my interest. That's great. Yeah, in the corner.
What surprises you most about the reactions you've gotten so far?
Ooh, great question.
Well, my favorite part is that in the midst of horror, people can still see the humor, because we thought it was really funny, and we were like, are we the only ones that are going to think this is funny? Like, after you watch that. The biggest reaction, which is maybe the most obvious reaction, which is kind of why we wrote it, was obviously like almost everybody in this audience is probably 1 or 2 degrees of separation from somebody who's been affected similarly. And I think that the way that resonates with people is really, you know, kind of the most fulfilling part of it. And, you know, and just hoping that people understand what we were going for, as in we're not psychopaths, despite what everyone's saying right now. But the message about like violence and how, you know, when you seek revenge, you're digging 2 graves. So I think those are some of the reactions we really enjoyed.
One more question. Go ahead.
How many days was the shoot? Was it consecutive? And more importantly, was that a conscious homage to Reservoir Dogs with the mom practicing the story?
Oh yeah, the commode story. What's the commode story? All right, well, I'll tell you what the commode story. Yeah, no, yeah, we thought about that. And we figured, you know, Quentin Tarantino steals from everybody. We can steal from him, right? And then we shot it in 13 days. We had like 1 pickup day, but yeah, 13 days. So thanks to all my Cairo coworkers for, you know, picking up the slack, especially Tony Breck, this guy over here, worked long hours so I could go make a movie. So thank you.
And before I close things here, I would love anyone who worked on this film, if you're here in the audience, can you stand up? We can see you.
Thank you, guys. And I'll also say, don't forget to vote. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, don't vote.
Who knows? To all of you who are a part of making this, it is a dark, I mean, literally a Rubik's Cube of moral complexity. And I've so valued, seeing it months ago and bringing it here to SIFF and seeing people engage with it. Thank you so much for bringing this to us, and keep up the good work.
We're honored to be here.
Thank you.